duck and cover.
Whatever killed Teddy, Phil, and Susie, it came after us again last night in the cemetery.
You duck and cover.
You'll have to go on record with the truth.
The truth is, I ain't do nothing to those kids.
What the hell do you have us chasing?
Duck, cover, duck, cover, duck, cover, duck, cover, duck, cover, duck, cover.
That scene was the most physically taxing scene I think I've ever done. The water was so cold. It was so cold. I've never been that cold a day in my life. I promise you. Even to this day, I've never been that cold a day in my life ever. I like the first time I went under, got fully submerged. I came up and I think my body was in shock because I couldn't move and I couldn't breathe for real. So I had to get another take. All right, we need to do this one more time. But it was crazy, and I'm very proud of the of the results of it. So.
I think that she's bored, she's lonely, but I also think that her morale is rooted in integrity and being of service. And I think she often feels she feels unseen in her home. And she's a natural nurturer. She wants good. So both. I think being an artist, you want to reflect the world in which you wish to live in and the world we used to live in or still do. And these are heavy weighted realities for humanity. I think that there's so many layers to this show, which I think makes it just so good. I also think a key thing that was interesting to me in the script and the story is the way in which evil warps, evil and group thinking, and also turning the other cheek, the banality of evil. It's right because of right now, but we often as humans, we're a retrospective species that goes, wow, I can't believe we were like that. And you consider we're in 2025, but 1962, our parents were alive. It wasn't that long ago. And we're also living in a warped reality today. So sadly, it's timely and timeless in that sense.
The scene in episode 4 is one of my favorite scenes because I don't think any woman besides his mom, one, has talked to him like that, probably since his marriage, and really puts herself on the line, and it's also one of those things where she's not a lawyer, it's not like she has the law on her side. She can't really do anything to free him, but in a world where you have no friends and everybody believes you've done something, the fact that he had her, and it's the first person, imagine, that doesn't even live in this town per se, that really has his back.
She's in a place when she's trying to fit in with a group of people that she doesn't really fit in with, and she's kind of trying to change herself to find herself, which I think is such a common experience that every person can relate to. And she's deeply insecure about so many things, but one of the main things being her glasses. And so it was very fun, especially as a teen girl, being able to kind of scream about it and scream about the insecurities, because it, preys on Marge's insecurities, and that's kind of what my perspective of the scene is. So that was fun to craft. That kind of just gave me a lot of fuel for the scene and was really fun to just let it out and let it go. And I'd say that the scene, the scare scene with the eyes, does have a centering effect on Marge and kind of causes her to reflect on her relationships and see the truth in a way, and see that she belongs with her friend Lily and with the losers, and it's okay for her to find herself elsewhere, not in the group that, everyone thinks she should be in.
That's, tightly related to Marge's own personal fear, which is also reflect the fears of a lot of kids or teenage or kids that are like turning into teenagers, like insecurity. And she's like someone that is particularly burdened by her own perception, her looks and her appearance, and that's it's set up very, very early on. Like her character,
But
talks
you found a clip, right, about the worms.
Oh yeah, that's the second part. So we were looking for something that reflected that kind of fear, and she complains about her eyes, and there's a specific reason that it's not going to be revealed until the very last episode, for which she is wearing the Coke bottle glasses, so she, we decided that it was about the eyes, something about the eyes and the eyes. And we found this clip from a documentary, which is like which is something that actually happens, and it's just fascinating. And that's what happens to her. We thought it was so appropriate to what she's going on, and it's something that it would take advantage of and incarnate in something that horrific.
Became the atomic age, nuclear power, and it completely changed the way war would be fought from then on. I mean, we still have ground troops in combat, but it's nothing like putting out, 12 million soldiers. We do it by the thousands now. Back then, you put out millions of people and they're on the battlefield and duking it out, and then all of a sudden you drop one bomb and you can kill people in an instant. So science and the space age and the idea of aliens and interstellar travel all of a sudden was in the realm of possibility. So to ignore that would be to be a bad soldier, because you got to stay on the forefront of technology. And Halloran has got that ESP, he's got something going on, and it's evident. And I know that there's stuff that we didn't know about before. To ignore it would be stupid. It wouldn't be a good soldier. My soldier started out in the United States Army Air Corps when they're just propellers, and now with rockets and jet engines. So things are moving quick.
Jovan said, I thought you were gonna lose your mind, because they said, Josh, do you want to use real, like this made up spit that we have, or do you? And he said, oh no, I'm locked and loaded, I'm good. And so as we're shooting this scene, even when I'm not on camera, he's spitting in my face. So first off, I was like, okay, I understand discomfort. Okay, I understand discomfort and his anger, and I really am starting to get his anger a lot. And then I think then we took a break in the day and we joked a lot about it. I was like, Josh, I really wanted to slap your teeth out because you chose this. Tanya didn't choose this. Josh chose this. But eventually, as we explored, we talked a lot about the physicality and the exhaustion of trying to reach into someone's head who has an ability to defend from it. And so when he warps into this uncomfortable, that's the funny thing. Dick comes into this thinking like, man, I'm psychic, I'm good. I got the shine. Not even psychic, I got the shine. But everybody in this town, it seems, can defend against it. Or so he keeps brutalizing himself. There was a pitch at one point, because we had a big break because of the strike, and I really tried to lose like 7 to 10 pounds, because that was what Andy and I said. They said, like, in reality, it was a marathon to be inside of this kid's head and discover all these things. So, and it was written a different way at first, where it was written a bunch of different ways, but there was a version where he was just out on the floor, unconscious, pale skin, drooling, and we pulled back from that a bit, but the fact still remains that to use this power is already exhausting, but then to use it against an entire people who are like, we put it here to protect it, difficult, exhausting. And so we push that exhaustion.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't actually, you'd have to ask James. I can't quite remember how he fully discovers like, oh, this kid's special. But Dick's locked, his other option is to be locked in a cell underneath a building and it never opens again, which is essentially being locked inside of his mind and not able to escape, not able to cook, not able to dance with beautiful women, not able to like laugh and joke. And I think that's all Dick wants to do is go back to New Orleans. You know what I mean? Cook a little bit. So in order to get back to that peace, which he brings up a couple times, he's willing to do anything. Obviously, I mean, watch the show. He's willing to do the thing that his grandmother tells him most not to do, which is, you know.
Yeah.
We wanted to, take advantage of the fact that TV is long-form storytelling. So we have this ability to see many different perspectives in terms of Derry and people's encounters with it in a way that a 2-hour or 2.5-hour movie just doesn't allow. And so in thinking about those different perspectives and who would have encountered it over the years, it was very clear to us the Indigenous community has been there longer than anyone. They've had a much longer background with it. What has that been like? What is their level of awareness? And so that suggested a number of really interesting possibilities, but chief amongst them, we went, how does this intersect with the themes we're excited about? And one of the real central themes of the book that has always been powerful for us as readers is this notion of memory versus amnesia. The way it wants you to forget these cycles of violence, the way it wants you desensitized to the horrors of the world around you. And so the notion of memory as a sort of moral weapon felt really interesting to explore. So then when you're talking about a community that has passed down potentially stories about it from generation to generation, it very organically built to a head where you understood how these two forces, the Indigenous community and it, would sort of be on opposite sides of the spectrum in terms of this conflict. And without spoiling anything in terms of where it goes, the Indigenous community has indeed passed down stories of this being in the woods generation to generation. They had found a different approach initially to dealing with this creature, and it is sort of part of the story of the season, how that approach intersects with what the military is up to on that Air Force base.